Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video, it's actually just a few days after I posted the IBM Trio video. I'm actually pretty annoyed. I found my composite capture card, or device, not a card, it's one of those older composite to USB converters for converting VHS to MP4, so you can store your home movies digitally. But it still works as a composite capture device. It's not the best, but it does work. So I decided to test it out and make sure everything was working correctly in the system. So I basically unhooked my big CRT that's behind the camera, just ran through some games, and I noticed a problem. So I'm going to kind of walk through my AV setup over there because I know some professional AV guys and retro guys are probably going to go, what are you doing? From the Super Nintendo through the original Xbox, all on composite, going into two 4-way switch boxes. Each one of those switch boxes outputs is going into a Sony digital receiver, kind of a big receiver. It's kind of a waste down here, but I mainly am using it so that I have a single output for capture. And here's where problems are starting. On Switchbox 2, everything works great. The N64, the PS2, the GameCube, the Xbox will all record on OBS just fine. I can see that's recording audio and I can see that's recording video. But for the most part, it is working like it should. The main problem is on Switchbox 1, I'm getting absolutely zero audio from that. And of course, my first thought is, well, maybe there's something wrong with the receiver, but the problem is, the way I have this set up, the computer is being fed into my big screen, flat screen, that I have the HDMI stuff through, and I have a digital audio out into that receiver so that it plays all the audio out of tower speakers. And I'm getting audio out. Like, I can physically hear the audio just fine. But the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the PS1, and the Saturn are not recording audio. It's like, it's not actually not recording. OBS isn't even detecting any audio, but the rest of the system is getting audio because I can hear it. But anyway, that is a problem I'm trying to diagnose. I might have to do some more tweaking. I might have to get a different switch box. Maybe it's something with the switch box, because when I unplug this up from that switch box and plug it into switch box 2, just swapping wires, I get audio and I can record it just fine. But anyway, yes, that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is we're going to be finishing up the Osborne restoration. Yep, part 2 and the final part of the Osborne restoration series. It took me way longer to get to this than I thought, actually, but with basically all of September being taken up by some household stuff, and October was some stuff too, so yeah, let's get right to it. So yeah, first things first, I want to mention that I actually opted to not retrobrite this thing because, well, apparently the Osborne is one of those machines that can become a little brittle under retrobriting, which is a problem I don't want to worry about. The other thing is, I forgot to order a certain replacement part. Honestly, from what I can tell on online forums, this particular part isn't needed. But first, we'll get to that. But first, let's take a look at the Osborne motherboard. Okay, so we have the main board here, which is actually apparently fairly simple. It's a we have the Zilog Z80 here, which is a version of it anyway. But first, let's just talk about the whole board in general. It's a very unusual proprietary design. There's a lot of wires under there, so I am not tearing that daughter board off. But yes, let's take a look at the daughter boards. This big one here is actually the video upgrade board. So what that does is that composite jack that was over here on the front of the cover, it basically gives it composite output, so I can hook up to any composite monitor, including modern LCDs and things like the 1702, the 1802 from Commodore, the generic monitors from the time period. But it also gives it an 80 column display on that composite output and on the internal monitor, which the monitor is only like this big. I don't know why you'd want 80 columns on that, but whatever. And then we have this. Now this is the most actually useful of the upgrades on this machine. This is the double density upgrade. So without this, the floppies would only really hold like, I believe it's 90K per side. Because typically it was a single-sided, single density. You'd have to notch it, flip it over if you wanted to, use both sides. But this allowed you to use single-sided double density, which is what almost every computer was using in the 80s, basically. And it lets you use up to 180K per side. Per side. I mean, realistically, it's not double-sided, it's still single-sided, so you have to flip it and notch it. But yeah, it's a lot easier to use modern, or more modern, 5 1/4 floppy drives to read and write these. So hopefully I'll be able to create more software in the future. I only have 2 floppies. One's a boot floppy that boots it into 80 column mode, and the other one has some information on it. I don't really know what it is, but yeah. Pretty cool board. Let's get to putting it back together. Okay, so first I want to take a look at this floppy drive first, because this latch is bugging me. Let's see if we can see what's going on in there. Looks like it's just off a little pin right there. Oh, ta-da, fixed it. Okay, so I'm glad that it was actually something pretty simple. So I've already kind of looked at both drives, made sure the rails move and make sure the motor spins free and the belt's good, which is, this one's good. My original intention was that if this drive didn't work, especially with it being broken, which I still need to be careful when I'm latching it. But the problem is that these drives are actually keyed electrically. There's jumpers and there's apparently some resistor blocks and stuff in here that I can't just put this into in drive B's place. I have to put this back in drive A. And the other problem is, if this drive is dead, I can't just take another 5 1/4 drive, because this, if you look at that, that looks like that's almost identical to the same style drive that IBMs were using, the early compact portables were using. I want to say the PET, the dual floppy drive from the PET used a drive similar. They're not compatible. And that's because all the power and data go through this single edge connector. There's no external connector for the power connector, which in a lot of ways that means this is similar to the ones that like Tandy like to do, because Tandy did that same thing, but unfortunately I can't just swap this. So yeah, let's get this put back together. So I desoldered the Rifa cap here. Now it hasn't popped yet, but I don't know if you can see it cracking pretty good. Oh, there we go. Shows it cracking. So yeah, this is the part I did not order to replace. I thought I did. I actually went to online. I found a modern replacement for this, and I was going to just replace it. But at the time of me recording this video, I goofed. I didn't click order. Like, it said that it was supposed to be here like yesterday, 2 days ago. So I kept waiting and watching the mail. It didn't show up. It didn't show up. So I checked the website, and nothing. So I also checked my PayPal, and there was no charges or returns. So I thought that was kind of strange. And then I checked. I didn't even purchase it. I didn't even click buy. It was still in my cart. So yeah, but the weird thing is that according to forums, this little thing is not needed. It's just a Rifa cap, and basically all it does is it filters the inline voltage. As you can see, it's actually not like a terminated thing where it has to be like in the circuit, like line voltage. Keeps it clean so there's no interference on anything else plugged into the same circuit. So if like a ham radio would get interference from it, that kind of stuff. But nobody around me within, like, I don't know, 10 miles, I think, has one, so good enough. And I've already put dry bead back in this thing just because it was already, yeah, pretty clean. And even not even the CRT didn't even really need much. Like, this thing was actually a very well cared for unit, which I am very happy about. I'm also trying to remember how this thing goes back together because unfortunately it's been a while since I've torn it apart. Should have plugged the ground in first. Really hopeful that what I'm recording is recording. Because I'd hate to have any more recording issues on the channel. You know, but so soon between other mishaps. I'm kind of referring to I lost a little bit of footage on the IBM Trio video because there was a video clip shot of the inside of the PCXT to show how bad the mouse nest was, and unfortunately it just didn't show up. So yeah, that is a problem, but at the same time, you know, it's really, you know, how many people want to see a mouse nest inside of a computer? Plug this in. Plug in the floppy cable, and it's not keyed, but it's pretty straightforward. And also there's a piece missing from this, the back cover here that has the handle. I don't have it here. I'm actually trying to find somebody to so I talked to a couple people who work with leather, and they said that it's going to be very difficult to repair that. Okay, now we need the top cover. My lovely chest freezer in the shop. Front cover. We need to hook this up first. Okay. Oh, from my angle, it looks like the screen's on. It's got a slight green glow. It's my backlight behind me. I forgot that it was set to green. Oh, that's awesome. How to invoke a panic. This thing's been off for months and months. How could it possibly still have a charge? Yeah, someday I'd love to figure out how to use this modem. In fact, I'd love to be able to figure out a way to use any of my retro computers that use phone jack style modems to connect to the internet, but apparently that's kind of a process. All right, let's check the keyboard out. All right, now for one of the most satisfying parts of retro computers, putting these things back together. I took a picture so I would remember how this stuff went. this thing all put back together, let's give it a test drive. Okay, so we have it set up here. I have this little composite monitor here so I can see what it's going to do. So, alright, let's power it on. Okay, cool. So, it's on, but so this takes a little bit to warm up. This is cool. It's actually showing it right there, so I can read what this thing's going to say. So, insert disk into drive A. My one, I have two floppies, but I don't know what's on the other one. This one just says WordStar. Okay, so yeah, I can barely read that, but I can barely read that because it's kind of blurry and fuzzy, but it actually is interesting. So what if we put in R command what if we type in setup? What's that do? Select source diskette for configuration A or B, or press M to get source from memory. Incorrect source version for this version to set up. Okay. Yeah, the Osborne works just fine. Kinda. I want to figure out what's going on with this floppy drive, why it's so loud. But the composite adapter does work. 80 columns works. It does load even though it's very loudly. But yeah, the Osborne actually does work, and it works phenomenally. Just a few little tweaks I need to do to it. So yeah, yeah. So I didn't retrobrite this because I didn't want the casing to become too brittle. And unfortunately, I have not yet quite been able to figure out how to make floppies for this. Because the problem is, this is a CPM machine, so every game would have to be for a CPM machine, which CPM's pretty universally compatible across CPM to CPM. It's just the formats that's different. Kind of like MS-DOS, how MS-DOS is technically, it's, you know, the DOS is basically compatible with most hardware. It's just sometimes the format or certain changes that are different. But I don't have any games for this thing yet. I would love to get a couple text-based games for this thing, at least figure out how to get it. Apparently there's a way to put a GoTech in here, which I might have to do for drive A. But yeah, this thing's actually done and it works just fine. I'm actually really glad to have this thing done, and it actually didn't take too much, just a good bit of scrubbing. I am going to find somebody to repair that handle. I think what I might just do is, I know it's not correct, it might irritate some people, but I'm probably going to just get some paracord and have somebody do a paracord wrap around the middle spring. That way it's got a handle. But yeah, it's done. The Osborne computer works. Oh yeah, the Osborne is actually a really, really fascinating machine. It's the first successful portable computer, luggable computer, because right now there's a little bit of, not really arguments, but playful banter about whether or not this is a luggable or a portable, because people are arguing about, well, it's this or that, but no, this thing was actually the first luggable portable, whichever way you want to call it, first successful one. There was others before it and others after it, but this was, yeah, the first successful one. But unfortunately, it was a victim of its own success, because the creators of this machine was trying to release the subsequent version of it, the Osborne 2, and unfortunately they announced it before it was ready, so sales of this dried up. So that when by the time it did come out, you know, it created the term Osborne effect, which is just hilarious to me. If you're just starting out with retro collecting, I don't know if I would recommend one of these. CP/M is, yes, a pretty compatible operating system, but this is a text-only machine, so it's only going to be able to run ASCII characters and text-based stuff. So as a gaming computer, not really. Yeah, I can do dual monitor, but it's really not all that useful, because this kind of defeats the purpose of it being a portable luggable. But for the novelty of it and the historical factor of it, it's a very nice machine. So if you come across one, by all means snag it. That's what I did. I had no interest in one of these originally. I just saw it was an Osborne. I'm like, oh, these are, you know, historical. You know, I kind of want one for the collection, just because it's, you know, a collectible thing, works or not. And it does work, so I can't wait to play with this thing a little bit more by getting some actual games for it. With that being said, thanks everyone for watching this video. I actually tried something new with the recording of this video with this camera, so I don't know how well it's going to turn out, so hopefully it turned out pretty good. If you want to see this thing in action a little bit more, put it down in the comments, and if you have any way of making floppies for this to put games on here, that'd be great. If you know of any way to, because there's articles that put GoTex in, but it requires soldering and that kind of stuff. And oh, so what? I just realized this. I was looking at this floppy. Somebody notched it, so this could have data on both sides. I will need to check that out at some point. Now, what about this one? Nope, just the one side. Cool. So yeah, anyway, I'd love to get some more software for this, whether it's the actual software or copies. In fact, actually I prefer copies, because having original hardware or original software for systems is nice. Like, I would love to have some for the IBMs I have, and that kind of stuff. But if I could just get copies, that'd be great, because that way it could be duplicated here. But yeah, anyway, thanks for everyone for watching this video. Put down in the comments your thoughts on this machine, or if you've used one, or if you've ever had experience with one of these machines. Put it down in the comments section, because I'd love to hear about it. This was actually one of the projects I want to get done before I could get onto some other restorations. I have some more projects involving my Commodore over here, including a very specific Commodore game I've been wanting to play for a while, and now that I have this monitor fixed, the Commodore fixed, and the floppy drive fixed, I can now play it. Stay tuned to see what game I'm talking about, and to see more videos. Check out the channel if there's any videos that you want to see. I might have it in my channel list. Check it out. With that being said, again, thanks everyone for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.